Christ was born. Oh, night divine, oh, night divine. Truly, He taught us to love one another as love is love, and His gospel is peace. And chains shall He break, for the slave is our brother, and in His name all oppression shall cease. Sweet hymns of joy in grateful chorus raise we, let all within us praise His holy name. On your knees, oh, hear the angel voices, oh, night divine, oh, night when Christ was born. Oh, night divine, oh, night divine. The ship we watched at night, glad tidings brought an angel bright. How great our joy, 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 joy. Praise with the Lord in heaven on high. Praise with the Lord in heaven on high. There shall be born, so He did say, in Bethlehem a child today. How great our joy, 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 joy. Praise with the Lord in heaven on high. Praise with the Lord in heaven on high.
All right. Good morning. Sorry for the little delay. It's winter here in Fairbanks. Got up this morning, not one of our furnaces were on. Fire was out. Had to prime one of them for a while. Had some bubblies. I gotta fix that. I imagine the is probably, what do they call that? Restrictor, backflow, who cares? Anyways, I was late. In studio, can I say your name?
Sure thing.
Right on. Got Mr. Mike Anderson. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning.
Sounding good. All right. And long lost brother, Rob Carr. Good morning, Rob.
Good morning.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
Folks probably don't know. Well, some of you know Rob. He's been around. He's been a longtime friend of the show, a longtime friend of mine. My brother Mike's always Dave. Dave's not with us. He might check in later. He's gallivanting around. You know how those business people are. Actually, I don't think he's doing business. Good grief. I've got a good one to start. Oh. Welcome to Patriots Lament. You can get us on 660 AM or 97.5 on the FM, which I highly recommend you go to 97.5 on the FM dial if you are in town, because when I play it rock and roll like that last bit that we had there, that helped us. Well, probably going to listen to it again because I didn't get to hear it. It sounds much better on a FM than it does on the AM, believe me. When you get that deep E rolling, you want to be able to crank that baby up, not. Also check us out on our Instagram. Just look for Patriots Lament. It's Patriots_Lament, I believe, something like that. Well, we're the only Patriots Lament in the world. We are the northernmost, the furthest north you can go for Liberty Radio. Check us out on, what was the other thing? Oh, yeah. Your TuneIn app, search for Patriots Lament or 660 KFAR. That's the one I use. You can get that on your phone, or KFAR also has their own app, KFAR 660. You can listen to the show. It sounds good there, too. It's like listening to FM, so that's all good. I think that's all the things. Oh, and the station likes me to remind you that they are celebrating their 80th birthday this year, ATF. It's a long time to be a radio station in the Fairland of Fairbanks. And we are working on year number 9. Patriots Lament. Year number 9. Can you believe it? Didn't ever think we'd do it, but imagine we've been around that long. It's quite amazing. Oh, YouTube. Check us out on YouTube. We're on live. Only me and my sweet-looking face, though, because the two guys didn't bring anything to broadcast with. And I still haven't found the webcam that I want to get. I found a few. Some of the reviews are okay. I want to get something that looks nice, because Mike's a handsome young fellow, and we don't want to just have it looking distorted. And people are like, we want to go, yeah. Yeah, we're on YouTube Live now. You can check us out on our chat room. If you're on there, you can chat with us, and I will do my best to keep up with it, but it'll be a little bit harder unless these two young gentlemen are blabbing, then I can interact a little bit. Our phone number is 907-458-8255. I want to thank everyone that called in last week to give their condolences, thoughts, and remembrances for our good friend Frank Turney, who passed 2 weeks ago now. Had a good story about that I have not been given permission to tell. About Frank, involving jury duty this last week. So I'm not going to tell it unless that person would like to call in and share it themselves. I almost gave it away. Never mind. All right, we're going to start this baby off with our good friend Mike Bloomberg. I want you guys to listen to this. First, I'll just read the thing, then I'll have you listen to it because it's pretty amazing. We here at Patriots Lament have been telling you folks that the government is not your friend. The elitists do not care about you. They definitely don't care about your freedoms, your liberties, which, as John Locke told us, the only reason that men who have created society, who come together and create society out of the wilderness, the only reason they ever create governments is to protect their property and their rights, and nothing beyond that. John Locke was a good American back in the 1600s. Had a few things that I would have disagreed with him on, and if I had been around at the time, I would have had a jolly good time speaking with him and pointing out where he was wrong. But as far as what he knew at the time, the guy was spot on. You might want to, Mike, what's that called? His thesis on government. Don't remember. I don't remember. I don't either. Anyways, you can look those up. Just pop in John Locke and you'll find it. He also had one of the greatest things that I think that he wrote was a letter concerning toleration, where he discusses tolerance in religion. We'll do another show on that sometime because I think it's good enough to do more than twice. We have talked about it before, but letters concerning toleration, especially with the current mentality out there in this place we call Morca, and the way Morcans are not tolerant at all. And they like to think that, oh yeah, well, back in the day, they were kicked down Muslims, right? No, sir. No, sir. The Mohammedans were welcomed as well as the Jew and the Catholic. And if you know anything about religions back in the 1700s, why Europeans came to America, you will know that was some radical talk saying to accept them for what they were and to also accept the atheists that didn't wish to worship anything. But, of course, as we like to tell you all are worshiping some God. You just call it a different name. All right, Mike Bloomberg, who I believe is the current mayor of New York City, correct? He is a piece of dog crap. He's also announced that he's going to run for president. I think he's worth several $1 billion, and he cares about the poor. The poor. Mike Bloomberg was the one that put taxes on big sodas. And did he ban the 32 ounce? I think he banned 32 ounce sodas.
He did. The courts may have tried to overturn that.
Yeah, I think young kids and fat people were like, "Hey, yo, we want to," and myself included. If I was there, I'd be pissed because when I go watch a movie, I want the big soda. I want the biggest freaking soda they got because I buy the biggest popcorn that they got. Then I walk out, barely walk. It's not the smartest thing either. If you're watching a 2.5 hour show and you drink a pop that's like that big, and you're like, I gotta make it to the end, and then you're the first one racing out to make that. All right, now I'm gonna get serious. Let's tell you why you should hate the state. Mike Bloomberg admits, this is from Economic Policy Journal with Robert Wenzel, which I recommend that you go to his site, Economic Policy Journal and Target Liberty, on a daily basis, several times a day. And if you're in Alaska and you want to catch everything for that day, about 10 o'clock is when 10 o'clock our time, his last post usually goes up. Mike Bloomberg admits that he's a tax Nazi, taxing the poor for their own good is a good thing. That was his whole thing behind the soda pops and everything, because, we got to keep these people from becoming obese. That's the reason why they say that they do cigarette taxes, the so-called sin taxes, is to keep poor people from sinning. Of course, it does not keep the rich people from sinning, but they don't mind that because they're rich. Plus, who's it for them to say what's a sin and what's not a sin? That's between an individual and God. During the spring, now this is really interesting because he's not just talking at some presidential forum. Again, he did throw his hat in the ring last week. During the spring 2018 International Monetary Fund, the IMF, meetings in Washington, D.C., current Democratic presidential candidate, the high and mighty Mike Bloomberg, took to the stage and claimed that taxing the poor to change their habits was a good thing. Congressman Thomas Massey writes, and he's kind of libertarianish. He's all right. Ron Paul's a good friend of his. For what he is, like I said, he's all right. But, there should not be any politicians. So that's beside the point. Congressman Thomas Massey writes, my translation of what Bloomberg said, taxes are not just for revenue. Taxes are means of control. We've got to tax poor people in order to control them. We do this to help them. Now, again, that was Congressman Massey's translation of it. But let's just hear what he has to say for it himself. Other presidential candidates back to Economic Policy Journal, other presidential candidates may want to control our lives, but they are incompetent, thankfully. Bloomberg, on the other hand, is not incompetent and appears to have a very dogmatic streak in him where he believes he knows what is good for everyone. Further, he is willing to use his technocratic skills to structure society so that the people in it will move in the manner that he wants them to move. He's a very scary guy. That's more like a commie. The guy is, Nazis are socialists too. Who are we kidding? It just depends on what boot you're wearing. A left-sided boot or a right-sided boot. They both hurt when they're squashing your neck. when we raise taxes on the poor, it's a good thing, and the poor will live longer because they can't afford as many things that will kill them, says Nanny State Mayor Bloomberg. So this is Bloomberg last year. Again, that's not Bloomberg. That's some good old-fashioned rock and roll. This is Bloomberg, the International Monetary Fund. Again, Mike, you want to give a little explanation of who those fine chaps are?
The International Monetary Fund.
Yeah. Who is the IMF?
They set economic policy.
Right. They are the world's IRS, or well, not the IRS. The world's. Oh yeah. What am I thinking of? Not the Internal Revenue Service. The Fed. Mm-hmm. They're the world's Federal Reserve. So here's Mike. And he's speaking to who is the president of the International Monetary Fund.
Say, well, taxes are regressive, but in this case, yes, they are. That's the good thing about them, because the problem is in people that don't have a lot of money. And so higher taxes should have a bigger impact on their behavior and how they deal with themselves. So I listen to people saying, oh, we don't want to tax the poor. Well, we want the poor to live longer so that they can get an education and enjoy life. And that's why you do want to do exactly what a lot of people say you don't want to do. The question is, do you want to pander to those people, or do you want to get them to live longer? And there's just no question. If you raise taxes on full sugary drinks, for example, they will drink less. And there's just no question that full sugar drinks are one of the major contributors to obesity, and obesity is one of the major contributors to heart disease and cancer and a variety of other things. So it's like saying, I don't want to stop using coal because coal miners will go out of work. Well, will lose their jobs. We have a lot of soldiers in the United States, in the U.S. Army, but we don't want to go start a war just to give them something to do. And that's exactly what you're...
Oh, really? I just had to throw that in. We don't want to give soldiers a war just for something to do. Okay, I'm going to back it up a little bit.
Their jobs. We have a lot of soldiers in the United States, in the U.S. Army, but we don't want to go start a war just to give them something to do. And that's exactly what you're saying when you say, well, let's keep coal killing people because we don't want coal miners to lose their jobs. The truth of the matter is there aren't very many coal miners left anyways, and we can find other things for them to do. But the comparison is a life or a job, or taxes or life. Which do you want to do? Take your poison.
So it's regressive. It is good. There are lots of tax experts in the room.
Again, this is the president of the International Monetary Fund. I don't remember her name right offhand.
It's Christine Lagarde. She's the chairwoman. Yeah.
Which do you want to do? Take your poison.
Chairperson, Mike.
Yeah.
I don't want you to get arrested.
So it's regressive. It is good. There are lots of tax experts in the room and fiscal experts, and I'm very pleased that they hear you say that. And they all say the two things in life which are absolutely certain. One is death, the other one is tax. So you use one to defer the other one.
That's correct.
Okay.
That is exactly right. Well said.
Yeah.
You said.
No, you said.
Say, well.
All right, there you have it.
And that was Lagarde clapping at the end there.
Yes,
Yeah.
with the rest of the
She loves it.
elites.
Yes.
Now remember, all of these people are multi-millionaires. And I like how she says we have many tax experts and economic experts here. No, you have a bunch of commies there.
You have a bunch of thieves in your room.
Right. They're not experts. They're all a bunch of Keynesian.
How's it any different than having a conference at a prison full of thieves, except they have suits on?
Right. And money. Well, and they have the power to tax you so you can live longer. So I like how he says that. He says, so what do we want? Do we want poor people with jobs or poor people with longer lives? Now, when you get rid of these saps, first off, you won't have as many poor people. They won't be paying your scumbag faces. So but these guys live on tax money, right? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They take So I just thought it was fascinating. And the World Monetary Fund there, the International Monetary Fund, is clapping, and they're giving themselves kudos for caring so much about the poor by taxing them. So by taking away your hard-earned money, your labor, stealing from you, they're helping you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think about that? I've got to look something up.
Well, remember, the IMF it's headquartered in Washington D.C., but it has 180 or 190 member nations. I can't remember, but it sets global economic policy, and here they are making the admission that they are going to enforce what is best for you by stealing certain amounts of your money. It's your money. It's their money to be stolen from you. You earned it, but it's their money, so that they can socially engineer your own behavior.
That's
and
so nice.
I mean, if there's nothing that points to someone being a sociopath, if there's anything to point to someone being a sociopath, this is it. I mean, this guy and this gal on stage claiming that they can decide what is best for you. They're completely disconnected from the people that they claim that they represent.
Oh, we're good. Yeah. So. C.S. Lewis, and I think this nails exactly what we're trying to get the point of about these. They're tyrants.
Mm-hmm.
They are sociopathic tyrants. This is C.S. Lewis. Of all tyrannies, a tyranny sincerely exercised for the good of its victims may be the most oppressive. That's what we just heard. It would be better to live under robber barons than under omnipotent moral busybodies. The robber baron's cruelty may sometimes sleep. His cupidity may at some point be satiated, but those who torment us for our own good will torment us without end, for they do so with the approval of their own conscience. They may be more likely to go to heaven, yet at the same time likelier to make a hell of earth. This very kindness stings with intolerable insult. To be, quote-unquote, cured against one's will and cured of states which we may not regard as a disease is to be put on a level of those who have not yet reached the age of reason or those who never will. We are classed with infants, imbeciles, and domestic animals. And I'll put a link up to the Economic Policy Journal story and with C.S. Lewis's deal there.
But these really are the mentally ill. These are it's akin to the blind leading the blindfolded. Right. These are people who are incapable. They have no sense of empathy. I mean, that's the definition of a psychopath or sociopath, a high-level sociopath. They have no empathy. They're complete narcissists. It doesn't matter if you tell them, no, this is not what we want. This is not good for us. I mean, everyone in the world could just stop voting because they have no faith in these people. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that they are in the position of power, so that they can prove to themselves that they're right. Mm-hmm. They get up on stage and they're basically just patting themselves on the back, consoling them in their own mental illness. It reminds me of a couple of Pink Floyd songs. One's from the Dark Side of the Moon album. The paper holds their folded. The lunatics are on the grass. The paper holds their folded faces to the floor. And every day the paper boy brings more. And then the Fletcher Memorial Home from the Final Cut album. I don't know if you ever heard that one, but
I'm sure I have.
Yeah.
It just strikes me that, of course, Bloomberg's not going to go on the stage when he's running for president and say the things that he just said here. He's saying that to his elite. Mm-hmm. Because he knows that most people are busy drinking their 32-ounce sodas and not going to be picking up anything as far as what Bloomberg said at the International Monetary Fund, right? He knows they're not going to be doing that. So I doubt on the next stage he's going to say, I'm going to tax you to help you, right? So here's the difference, a difference between him. The rest of the Democrats running for office right now are all saying, we're going to give you more freebies, right? The Yang or Wang or Yutang or some kind of China people. And I say that because I can say China peoples because one of the people that ran for Congress used the term. So if they use it, we can use it. He says he's going to give every American adult $1,000 a month guaranteed income, which comes out to somewhere around $4.5 trillion a year, which would, what did I see? Which would have to raise taxes on every American by 85%. Probably doesn't know that. I don't know. Let's hit a phone call group. Go ahead with your point, and we'll take a call.
I just go to the call. Let's just go to the call.
Phone number is 907-458-8255. Right now, we're talking about Mr. Mike Bloomberg and how wonderful he is to care about the poor. He almost sounded like Jesus there, didn't he? Mm-hmm. A little bit. Almost sounded like help the poor. No. I might contrast that here in a minute. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
Michael Savage is a talk show host that's on KFAR in the evenings, early evenings, and he has said for years that progressivism is a mental disorder. And there's a Bloomberg that I think you'd have to qualify him as an extreme progressive.
Yes, he is a communist.
And I agree with Michael on his contention. And it's irrefutable in my personal opinion, because they spend other people's money until it's gone, and then they put taxes on people to resupply their spending ability. And it all boils down to one very specific trait that all politicians have, and that's control.
Well,
which is power.
There's where I disagree with Mr. Savage, who I've listened to since I was probably 20 years. I haven't listened to him much in the last, what am I talking about? 25. He's been on the air for a long time. I started listening to him when he first came on in Idaho, when he first was syndicated. So this was a long time ago. I don't listen to him much anymore. But this is the part where I disagree with him. I don't think Bloomberg has a mental disorder. I think he is a piece of junk. Now, people that follow him, the peons, or what the communists called the useful idiots, they have mental disorders because they think this is actually helpful for them. But these people in power, like these people that are clapping for him, they don't have mental disorders. They're evil. They know exactly what they're doing. He does not care about the poor, because we also know that studies show that, let's say, taxes on cigarettes have not stopped smoking at all. Taxes on alcohol does not stop people from drinking at all. Prohibition, absolutely outlawing it, didn't stop people from having drinks.
Oh, I will agree totally, but what that does prove is that he is a damn liar.
Yeah.
And that is a social disorder that is not accepted in, if you want America to continue, honesty is a primary tenet of longevity for this country. We've lost it. And we've lost it especially let's just lump in the lawyers with the politicians, because they're sort of in the same boat, because a lawyer is just a professional liar. He's there to take a story, twist the evidence that he's got at his disposal in such a way that the jury will get his client off the hook, and in the end, the truth be damned.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because to him, the truth just gets in the way of what he wants.
Yeah, money.
Yep.
Yes, I'm pretty convinced that those are all fairly true statements. But I sure thank you for the forum, and keep doing what you're doing.
Well, it's good to hear from you. It's always good to hear from you. Appreciate your support of the program.
Well, you got me. That may be my mental disorder, but I'll accept that.
Hey,
keep smiling.
Yeah, a lot of people think we have mental disorders, and the jury's still out. We'll know in the end, I guess.
Well, the key there is honesty to yourself and honesty to your beliefs.
Well,
that's all that keeps this country going, because the dishonesty has got us to where we are today with all this crap going on in the federal government, and it's spread all over the country.
Yeah.
Well, I have to
keep smiling.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Thank you.
You bet. Good day.
Yeah, I think I have to think there's something they want more than money, and in case someone like Bloomberg or Lagarde, and it shows up with their pure narcissism, and that's just the self-validation. I mean, these are people who would destroy all of society and themselves as well, just to try to prove themselves to be right about something. You know, Lagarde is one of those people that advocates for negative interest rates and higher taxes in Europe, and her policies are destroying the economy, the world economy, and
right.
She's had the opportunity to see that it's not helping and that it's harming the economy, but she won't do it because she has to prove herself and her cronies to be right, because to be wrong is to lose everything. Armstrong often writes about them and how they are destroying the world economy just because they can't admit that they've been wrong.
Have their policies over the last 100 years been responsible of lifting poor people out of poverty in Asian countries, in African countries, any of those? No, they've hurt them all.
Right, and they've damaged economies,
right, and they
by trying to force states on people.
They lie to us and say, "Oh, well, it's this free market you all wackos talk about that keep people poor, and it's our economic policies that lift them out of their poverty." But it's actually the free market, us, that lift people out of poverty, despite them.
Right, and one of the first things I noticed when I was listening to that clip was he talks about Bloomberg. He talks about needing to tax them so that they make proper choices. So you're taking money from them. They're less capable of buying the things that are good for them. I mean, if you go to the grocery store, the stuff that the organic foods or the vegetables, the fruits, they're kind of expensive. The cheap stuff is the high fructose corn syrup fake juice, the cheap lunch meats, soda pop.
Well, that's subsidized by the government.
It's also, and it's also the most common items for people to buy. I mean, the number one, the number one item to buy with food stamps is soda pop. See, number 10 is lunch meats.
What about steak?
Well, steak's not on there. Chicken's on there. I think it's like number 8.
If I was on food stamps, I'd be buying steak.
But if you go down the list, even the top 20 items that are bought with food stamps, there's not one fruit or vegetable on the list. But what would they be buying if they actually had money? Would they be buying anything better? Maybe not.
I think I'd have to argue that. I mean, I don't think vegetables are actually that expensive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know.
They're a little bit more here, but
they are. Yeah, here.
Well, yeah, we're in Alaska. I mean,
yeah.
Right. But down in the States, you're right. They're not.
Mm-hmm.
They're very cheap.
But the cheapest stuff to buy is soda pop or fake juices or lunch meats, things like that.
I have a little bit of theory that probably I have to roll into the next hour on. I'll just tip the cap on it a little bit. The in Proverbs. Proverbs. Yeah. Solomon talks about the poor man and his drink, right? He says to let the poor man have his drink to forget his sorrows for the day. And I think that, again, this is a little bit longer. We're just going to open it up a little bit. I think a lot of poor people buy the junk food, fast food stuff, for one, just because it satisfies, right?
Yeah.
Soda pop satisfies. A good ice cold Mountain Dew will make you feel so good.
Yeah, soda is not a food product.
Right. Like you said, with you sit down, open up a nice bag of your favorite potato chips or corn chips or whatever, and a soda pop. It gives you a feeling of satisfaction. And poverty gives you, most people in poverty, they have a little bit of an angst being in poverty, right? You're worried about, what am I going to eat tomorrow? If you got kids, if you're a single mom or a dad or whatever, how am I going to clothe my kids? How am I going to do this? We have government programs to take care of that now so much because the church quit doing it. But I want to, we're just about the top of the hour, so I want to contrast the truth with the lie. Bloomberg is the liar. Now we'll go to the truth, which is the Bible. This is Christ. He came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, Jesus. And as was his custom, he went to the synagogue on the Sabbath day, and he stood up to read. A little water there for me so I can read. And the scroll of the prophet Isaiah was given to him. He unrolled the scroll and found the place where it was written, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim liberty to the captives and to recover the sight to the blind, and to set at liberty those who are oppressed, and to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor." That's his contrast. Does that sound anything like what the Bloom was talking about? No, it's for their own good. We're stealing for them for their own good. And Proverbs says, whoever is generous to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will repay him for his deeds. Deuteronomy says, for there will never cease to be poor in the land. Therefore, I command you, you shall open wide your hand to your brother. Open wide your hand to the needy and to the poor in your land. Proverbs again, whoever oppresses a poor man insults his maker, but he who is generous to the needy honors him. Proverbs 22:9. Whoever has a bountiful eye will be blessed, for he shares his bread with the poor. Luke, when you give a feast, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, and the blind. Proverbs, whoever gives to the poor will not want, but he who hides his eyes will get many a curse. Luke, he lifted up his eyes to his disciples and said, blessed are you who are poor, for yours is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you who are hungry now, for you'll be satisfied. Blessed are you who weep, for you will laugh. And there's one more I'm going to find here, because I like this one a lot. And it's about it's about Sodom and Gomorrah. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Mm-hmm. Okay. As I live, declares the Lord God. So, the whole Bible story about Sodom and Gomorrah is that they were sodomites and God destroyed it because they were so evil. Or was that the reason? As I live, declares the Lord God, this is Ezekiel 16:48. Your sister Sodom and her daughters have not done as you and your daughters have done. He's speaking to people. Behold, this was the guilt of your sister Sodom. She and her daughters, other cities around, had pride. They had excess of food and were prosperous and at ease, but they did not aid the poor and the needy. They were haughty and did an abomination, so I removed them. So contrast that with Bloomberg, who's saying that he loves the poor by stealing from them to keep them from doing, whatever he decides. Again, it's central planning at its worst, which that's what they all do. Their goal is to centrally plan every aspect of your life. We are going to decide what you're going to eat. Now, we're not saying that a good old cold Mountain Dew is good for you. It's not. Brominated vegetable oil in it. It just tastes good, right? The chips aren't good for you. But again, in excess, most everything's not good for you, right?
Well, yeah, and you're basically drinking crack.
Right.
I mean, it's sugars. It's high fructose corn syrup, which is even worse, but sugar itself is, in studies, been shown to be equally as addictive as crack cocaine.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Gives your body a high. It does. But these people are deciding, who are they to decide how you're going to treat your body, right? Who are they to decide how? And it goes beyond just these politicians, though, because you get people that are lined up to go voting, right? And lobby. What are lobbyists for? To pass laws. People vote for people to get them to pass the laws that they want. And the laws that they want are to control people's lives the way that they want them to do it. So what's the difference between Bloomberg saying that he wants to tax the poor to keep them from rah, rah, rah? Oh, I'm helping them live longer, he says. Or the goody two-shoes people down at your local church voting for people and demanding that they outlaw certain drugs or all drugs or whatever and throw people in prison because they're not living the way that they want them to. Right? That's what prohibition was all about. A bunch of old ninnies lobbied Congress to prohibit alcohol because it was evil. So they wanted to use the government's hand to make people be righteous, which we know doesn't work.
And then the only people that make money were the mobsters.
The government made quite a bit too.
Well, that's what I mean.
Right. I stand corrected. You are correct. Anyways, I found that pretty telling. And again, no one's going to talk about it. It would be wonderful if the next debate, if he gets to be on there, if someone would jump up and say, let me just read a little quote here from Mr. Bloomberg for all you Democrats out there. Because a lot of Democrats are poor people. And a lot of poor people vote Democrat because they say, I will give. And they're never thinking about, well, a lot of people do think about, where it's going to come from. They absolutely want to take from other people because they're rich. But as we've talked about so many times, that you take all the money from all the billionaires in America, take everything they own, and it wouldn't even support the Medicaid program for 3 years. Right? It's just not that much money. You take it all, it wouldn't support the federal government's budget for 1 year. It wouldn't support the military for, I think, 5, the military's budget. So when it comes to money, you don't understand $1 billion is not very much money when you compare it to the government's $1 trillion budgets, right? And people, this last caller actually, he's talked about it before. When you say trillionaires and billionaires and trillions and billions, people's eyes just kind of glaze over because they're thinking, what? But but just think of many, many, many thousands versus $1. $1 versus a million is what we're talking about. Differences here. So, anyways, that was a quick hour because I was late. We'll be right back. This is Patriots Lament.
48DK 97.5 FM Fairbanks, the heartbeat of Alaska.
Disturbing dinner party entertainment. I'm Jane Metzler, Fox News. We're now learning more about the Saudi gunman who opened fire at the Pensacola Naval Air Station yesterday, killing 3, wounding 8 before he was fatally shot. Ahmed Mohammed al-Shamrani was training with other Saudis on that base. Authorities piecing together what he did prior to the rampage, what his motive might have been, and whether he acted alone.
The Associated Press is reporting 10 Saudi students are being held at the base for questioning, and several others are still unaccounted for. They're reporting the shooter held a dinner party the night before to watch videos of mass shootings, also saying one student was recording outside the building as that shooting happened. Now, the FBI this morning still not confirming whether this is a terror investigation, saying it's a very fluid thing at this time.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich in Pensacola. Shiwei Wang is on his way home. The U.S. doctoral student freed by Iran in a prisoner swap.
A U.S. official says an American team, including State Department Iran envoy Brian Hook, left for Zurich last night to meet with Iranian officials for the prisoner swap. They secured Wang, flew him to Germany for an evaluation, and he'll come back soon to the United States. Wang's a graduate student at Princeton University. He was studying Persian history in Iran when he was arrested in August of 2016. Iranian authorities charged him with espionage, sentenced him to 10 years in prison. The U.S. maintains the charges against Wang were bogus. In a statement, Wang's wife says, quote, "Our family is complete once again. Our son Xiaofin and I have waited 3 long years for this day."
Fox's Rich Edson. The president tweeting about Wang's release and impeachment, again urging people to read the transcripts, calling the investigation a witch hunt. America's listening to Fox News.
Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. But more specifically, let it snow 2 or more inches on Christmas Eve, and Renewal by Andersen will give you free replacement windows. Here's how it works. Have your consultation and purchase windows by December 16th. And then, if it snows 2 or more inches on Christmas Eve, all the windows you purchased will be free. And we're taking the measurement at the UAF campus. But if we don't get snow, you'll still save $300 on every window and save $700 on every patio door, with 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 1 year. Are your current windows drafty? Well, you could replace every window and patio door for free with Renewal by Andersen. Get your windows for free if it snows on Christmas Eve. And even if it doesn't snow, you can still save hundreds on windows and patio doors. You must have your appointment by December 16th. Call Renewal by Andersen, 885-3100. 885-3100. That's 885-3100. Visit icywindows.com for terms and details.
Snow and cold are predictably unpredictable. So Honda your way through winter with the help from the Woodway and dependable Honda snow throwers and generators. Overcome unpredictability with Honda dependability. Back up your boiler and freezer with power from your quiet, easy-to-operate Honda generator as your Honda snow thrower keeps your driveway open. Overcoming unpredictability with Honda dependability. Your Honda generator and snow thrower are waiting for you at the Woodway on College Road. Being prepared the Alaskan way, the right way, the Woodway.
Tired of fighting that shower curtain, trying to keep it tucked in, or cleaning up after someone who didn't? A decorative shower door from Glass Doctor can not only keep your floors dry, it can add value to your home and become a centerpiece to your bathroom. Choose between a custom heavy glass frameless enclosure to a smart-looking, high-quality sliding door for your tub and everything in between. Call Glass Doctor today and schedule a free in-home design consultation with one of our specialists and see for yourself how affordable luxury can be.
Call the Glass Doctor, will fix your paint.
Nearly every Browning product in the store is on sale now at Frontier Outfitters, your store for the outdoors. Guns, accessories, gun safes, outdoor apparel, all on sale. Because it's Browning, you know it's a gift they'll love. While you're shopping, enter to win a free Browning A5 Sweet 16 gauge shotgun, a $1,700 value, to be drawn December 21st. See store for details. The Browning sale continues through Christmas Eve. Frontier Outfitters for your Alaskan lifestyle. Your Christmas shopping list just got easier.
All right, welcome back to Patriots Lament. My name's Joshua Bennett. In the studio, we got Mr. Mike Anderson. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning.
And Rob Carr. Good morning, Rob.
Good morning.
Just showing that we can play a little easy Christmas music. Of course, we should all listen to Peanuts' Christmas album year-round, but at least this time of year. If you want to join the show again, pick us up at 907-458-8255, and we'll go right to you. Shut that baby off. This last hour, we were talking about Bloomberg and his being such a benevolent leader for everyone. You know, it's always funny to me that the super rich people are always the ones that like to be the central planners to tell everyone else how to live. You know, it's like, oh, how very thoughtful of you. Of course, you know, you don't see Bloomberg taking his bazillions and just giving it away to all these poor people himself, right? Mm-hmm. No. In fact,
he has to make them poor so that they make good choices.
Right.
According to him.
Exactly. I mean, I think that's what's so fascinating about the whole thing. It's beyond just this thing of, you know, taxing the rich to give to the poor. Mm-hmm. He's saying we need to tax the poor so they can live longer. And, you know, he might.
And by taxing them, and by making them poorer, they're actually eating worse.
Well, and by making them poorer, I mean, doesn't stress have a little bit to do with people's longevity on Earth? Mm-hmm. You know, when things are a little bit easier, it seems like you have a little bit less stress. The old heart rate goes down a little bit, the old blood pressure. you're a little bit more at ease. And, I wonder if he really believes it too.
Of course not. You can tell he's just making it up as he goes.
Right. He's just basically grandstanding, or he's speaking to the audience so he can get an applause by the chairman of the IMF.
Right.
Oh, because you hear that at the end, and he goes, when they're clapping, he goes, "You said it. You said." She goes, "No, you said it. No, you said it. No, you said it."
Yeah.
So they're trying to push off the applause. They're not applauding me; they're applauding you.
Well, they're trying to play it up as it's so wonderful, because that's the intent. That's the intent that they have. I mean, you look at Europe with 80% taxes in some places. And that's the intent they have for the whole world, but they have to be able to throw out some ridiculous excuse to do it. Tyranny always comes with a good excuse, but at this point, they're kind of running out of good excuses. I mean, look at what they have to make up on the fly just to try to get some applause.
Yeah, just to try. Well, they're always eager to applaud themselves, right? I've always thought. It's kind of like the, what's the thing the actors do, and they give the Oscars and stuff, all the awards they give themselves, right? They give themselves awards and clap about themselves, Oh, I'm just so humbled that we're giving ourselves awards up here. I want to thank all of you that, blah, 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 blah. It's just, these politicians are doing the same thing. If you want an award, then random people would give you that award. Your real award is when you make a good movie, people buy a ticket and go watch it. That's the real award that you got, your reward, maybe. But they're so ignorant.
But
I guess I meant to say arrogant.
Maybe both.
Maybe both.
The real problem, though, maybe could it be that there's this position, available for the taking, and that's basically the job description. So, can you really blame somebody that's put there, with such power? They're voted on. And they're just doing what's expected of them, basically.
No, I think that you're absolutely right. There's something that goes along with, someone like, say, politician-wise. Look at all these millions of people, or, in Fairbanks, wow, look at this, 3,000 people out of 80,000 voted for me. I'm pretty big deal around here. Out of the 9% of the registered voters that voted, 3% voted for me. Whew. So, you're right. They do give their promises. They do say what they're going to do. So they're probably expected. They think that it's expected of them to be benevolent or whatever.
Yeah, you have a good point there, because there are people in the public that produce this market for tyrants.
Right.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah,
position is available.
There are people who want to be ruled over. They have so little confidence, I guess, in their own lives that they need someone to rule over them.
But no one would admit that.
Define their direction.
Right. So let's say that you could sit out in front of a precinct, an election whatever. What are they called? Places where you?
Yeah, precinct,
or a voting place. Where people are coming to vote.
The polling
place.
Polling place.
This is what happens.
Yeah, this is what happens when you don't vote. You don't even know what they're. Let's say you're at one of the polls and you're asking people that are coming in, are you voting because you can't control yourself? No one would say yes. None of them would. They're like, what? What are you talking about? Well, are you voting so this person can control your actions because you're not smart enough to rule your own life?
No, they're voting to control other people.
Exactly. Exactly right. They would all be, no, I'm voting because this guy says he will do this, and that's what I want. And the other person says, well, I'm voting for this guy because he said he'll stop that guy if he gets in and do this and do that. Right. They're voting to control other people.
And the most common reason.
Who's going to point the gun at who? I don't want to point it at me. So
and also it comes down to the whole situation of the lesser of two evils that people always throw out there.
Right.
Yes.
That's got to end. I mean,
how's that been working out?
Exactly.
Well, that's the most common reason that they throw out there. We have to vote for this guy so the other guy doesn't get in.
Yeah.
They're always voting in supposed self-defense.
Let's go to, we got a bunch of callers here, so let's do callers, but I'll find it here, but that goes along with, the lesser of two evils. I think it was Madison that even said, I think it was Madison, at worst, at best, we're getting the lesser of two evils when we have a government. At best. And when they say, well, we need to vote for the lesser two evils, why should we vote for evil at all? How about no evil? It's ridiculous.
Well, why is it two as well? Why is it the lesser of two evils?
Right. Because they only give us two choices.
Exactly.
They decide how many choices you have. All right, let's hit the calls. 458-8255, 907-458-8255 is the phone number. And I was referring to Hayek's chapter 10 of The Road to Serfdom. And it is that chapter is titled Why the Worst Get to the Top. And that is politics. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, in connection with your topic last hour, I would simply pose a question. What is life, long, short, or medium, that is not at least interspersed from time to time with some level of enjoyment? And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. That's a pretty good point. I mean, so are you still on there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so kind of like what you're saying is Bloomberg saying he wants to take the fun out of everyone's life, kind of? Well, what you're saying? Or?
Obviously, if someone lives in crushing poverty their entire life, there seems to be fewer windows for that enjoyment to creep in.
Right. And who is he to decide what enjoyment they get?
That too.
I mean, it's what he's saying. Well, if we do these things, they'll live longer. They'll be more miserable because we're going to take any joy out of their life, but at least, by golly, they'll live longer, which is good for them because they can keep taxing them. It's hard to tax dead people. They do, but it's a little bit harder.
Right. One thing a psychopath will sometimes do is to try to emulate empathy. And you can tell he's doing that in that clip. He's trying to pretend like he cares about these people, and it comes across as so artificial that you can see right through it.
Well, what was the thing with Clinton when that little deal when he put his thumb behind his index finger and said, "I feel your pain." You're like, oh no.
Yeah, that they're playing it. They don't really have it. They don't really experience empathy, but they'll pretend they are.
Thanks for the call. Do you have anything else?
That'll do.
All righty, sir. Thank you for calling in. Appreciate that point. Let's move on. I feel your pain. And believe me, it's going to be a lot. Because I'm going to cause it. Hello, caller. You are up next. Go ahead.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, sir. How are you today?
I'm just fine. Hey, is this that show that promotes freedom and liberty?
Yep. This should be the one.
Oh. Well, what about that lesser of two evils?
That wouldn't be us.
So how's your brother Aaron doing?
He's doing well. He's down in the Dakotas, working in the oil fields down there.
Yeah, I just went and visited him. He's doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, you ought to call up and just say how good it is elsewhere then, huh?
Well, I know. I text him regularly or whatever, or talk to him, and I always say, you ought to call in on the show. People like to hear from him. I think, knowing my brother, even though he's a couple hours ahead of us, I think it's a little too early in the morning for him.
Well, hey, let me get straight to the point. You've been throwing around some terms today that, like money, specifically money.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some math attached to it, millions, billions, trillions.
Right.
Yeah. And a quick math lesson, of course, is when you're dealing with numbers so big, just switch over to scientific notation. Base 10, you would add and subtract exponents when you're multiplying and dividing the concepts. And math being so close to logic, or essential to logic, if you will, you can almost string it together just by mathematics alone. And there's been philosophers that have attempted to portray that. And of course, it falls down on some certain concepts, like the prisoner's dilemma, which you seem to ask with respect to the lesser of two evils.
Mm-hmm.
Do you care to address any of that while I'm on the phone, or should I just hang up and listen?
Go ahead, guys.
That's over my head.
Have a good one.
Well,
Later on.
I was just thinking about it.
Oh, okay. You're still thinking.
Yeah.
You can't do that on the radio. You just got to spout it out.
I know, you just got to blab, right?
Blab truth.
Well, let me, while you're on here, I did, I'll get your opinion on this. You know that girl, Greta Thunberg, who was...
Yeah, I've heard the news, at least. I don't know her.
Yeah, here's on Economic Policy Journal again, and it's funny you called, because right before people started calling, I was going to do our... every week I decided I'm going to do a little, I guess we're... a gold market analysis, basically, from...
well, gold is money.
Right. So I was going to give a little what it's going for. All the commodities are going for every week. I was going to announce that over the air. For oil, gold, palladium, all that.
What about Bitcoin?
And Bitcoin. Of course, we always throw that in. So...
cryptocurrency or just Bitcoin?
Cryptos. I got them all right here on my little phone.
I've got a sibling that showed me his net worth in terms of cryptocurrency.
Were you proud of him?
Well, he's certainly on the cutting edge.
There you go. Yeah. So this Greta, and this kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the whole worst rising to the top and less evil. It's, lesser to evil. We're just talking about evil.
Sure.
So she says, her latest public statement, she says that climate crisis is not just about the environment. And I think this is important with this. It all ties together. She says it is a crisis of human rights, of justice, and the political will. Colonial, racist, and patriarchal systems of oppression have created and fueled the climate crisis, and we need to dismantle them all.
Ouch.
Yowza.
Yeah, well, just be careful what you wish for in that respect. My analysis is such that we're probably, I say we loosely,
yep.
We're gonna have to tell the folks that are going a little too socialist these days that no, the rights of the individual still matter, and that document known as the Constitution. I know you guys, I kind of know your feeling on it there, but I'm not going to put words in your mouth either. Perhaps you could even discuss a little bit about the Constitution. But here's the thing that it prevents. It prevents the United Nations type charter BS to filter through the system, if you will, kind of like Anilka did. But never forget, I'm going to switch, Anilka, which, if you'll remember back in the 70s there, it was an agreement between the feds and the state, essentially, on how we're going to treat people. And it says on one of the pages there that be respectful of the people that are already here with their ideas on things. And so when things get handed down generation to generation, freedom and liberty still ring really loud. And I can't limit yours, and shame on you for limiting mine.
Yep.
So God bless you guys. Have a good one.
Thank you, sir. It's always good to talk to you. You know, as far as the Constitution, we all have our ideas on it, but I definitely think one good thing about it is anytime you can hold a politician's feet to the fire by using the Constitution, do it.
Use their own game.
Exactly. I mean, that's why I think it's not. There's nothing wrong with knowing it inside and out, basically, because there were some good men that were a part of it. And look at the Bill of Rights. There's nothing wrong with the Bill of Rights. Now, we can argue semantics about, well, should they have written it down? Should have been this? Should have been that? At least it's in there, because if we didn't have a Bill of Rights, do you think, besides a very small few, think of how few people know what a right is, like a right to be free, freedom of association, freedom to own a gun, all these things. Okay, it's in black and white. It's on paper. We can read it. If we didn't have that, we'd be further down the tube of lost with that Constitution without those things in there.
Well, yeah, and on a more basic level, to tell what a right is, does anyone have to initiate an aggression against someone else in order to obtain something or some activity? If they do, then it's not a right.
Yeah, and I think Madison had like 28 amendments he wanted to put in there, and then he knocked it down to 14, and then down to, because he was getting pretty specific because he knew what was going to happen.
Well, there were over 200 that were submitted for the Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
So,
but I think the compromise was the 9th and 10th Amendment. Saying that any rights that the people have right now, a human right, just because it's not in these Bill of Rights, doesn't mean that they don't have them. We're just saying these specific ones, we're going to say it's leading a progression. It's kind of et cetera, is what they're saying with the 9th and 10th Amendments. And so again, while I don't think that I didn't sign the Constitution. Jefferson said no one has the right to bind future generations to what this generation wants now. Absolutely use it against them. Say, hey, absolutely, Second Amendment thing. If as far as gun rights and stuff, bring it up. No, this is this thing that you gave an oath to defend guarantees me the right to own a gun.
Mm-hmm. Could you remind me what the 10th Amendment, you said the 10th and what?
The 9th and 10th.
9th and 10th.
The 10th Amendment is
the states' rights.
States' rights.
And then the 9th is basically says those that since if the rights kept by the people are not specifically listed, that shall not be construed that they do not exist. That's a paraphrasing. Gotcha. That's not the original language, but
yeah. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people.
Right. So just because it's not listed, that does not mean that the right is not there.
Right.
And that was the argument. To argue against the issuance of driver's licenses, which was it the Michigan Supreme Court? I can't remember. It was Michigan or Minnesota. Supreme Court ruled against the driver's licenses because of the 9th Amendment.
So why did they still have driver's licenses?
Out of precedents.
Out of what?
Court precedents.
Oh, okay.
Right. Because what the 9th Amendment really is saying, well, you know what? Let's take the callers because they're on hold, and then we'll rally back because that's good to talk about. Hello, caller. You're up next. Thanks for holding.
Hello, Joshua.
Oh, hey. Hello.
Bill Blizzard. I'm getting my last call in probably at the hospital here, and I'm on my dying leg, and they're going to move me home tonight. But I'm dying. I've been trying to meet my maker, and last night I had a preacher come in visit me, and the next visitor was a Hell's Angel, and he had his pistol right on his hip. And I knew him years ago, and he come in to say goodbyes to me, and here I am in Fairbanks Memorial, and he had his pistol on his hip, and I congratulate him for using the right to carry a firearm, and so it was pretty neat. And I got preachers coming back in, but it's throwing me out tonight. I've been laying here on my back for a week. I went to Seattle for 3 weeks, and bleeding ulcer, and I have kidney failure that's killing me. I'm sure this is my last call into the show. I wanted to tell you guys I love you so much. You've done so much to educate people through the years, and I've got luckily the preachers are working with me. I've got a grave with concrete in it because they got the hole already dug at Pleasant Valley Cemetery behind the Pleasant Valley store out in Two Rivers area. And I'm getting ready to go down and meet my maker, and every minute I'm awake I'm praying to Jesus, and every minute I'm asleep I have these crazy stupid dreams. But I somehow I gotta try to make a few bucks to pay for my coffin, and if anybody has a few bucks to send to my wife or the preachers, I'd appreciate it, and I can pay $1,000 for the coffin itself, which I can't believe it costs that much for a pine box, but that's not the way you do it. And Patriots Funeral Home is real good about charging you what you can afford and stuff like that. But I want to give my home number, if possible, to you.
Absolutely.
And it's 488-9526. And I can't thought I'd be calling in you to try to get a few volunteer funds to pay for my coffin. But I'm just being honest with you, boys, and I'm on my dying leg here, and with my bleeding ulcer can't be stopped if the operators kill me for sure.
Bill, give us your number again.
907, let me say 488-9526. And my cell phone number, and my wife carries it with her when I'm not with her, is 322-4011. It's also 907-322-4011. But I love your show, and there's no nurse here to turn it back up volume quick enough for me. But I'm going to try to listen to the rest of your show today, and just want to tell you guys I love you all so much, and I wish Winston and some of the other old timers had a chance to call in and say goodbye instead of hearing it after the fact. But so have a ceremony for me at Valley Center, and days or a week, I don't know how long it'll take to get the coffin together and a headstone and a little money. But I'm lowering my pride and saying, sir, if you could help a little bit, anything would help. And I just love your show so much, and I hope they never take you off the air. And I know you guys, Josh, we got to drive to Pluto and back. I've driven it hundreds of times years ago, and I remember one time there was a semi coming up the hill. There was a little boy and a cat on it, and one coming down the hill behind me had to get over far enough so they could make the pass. And I gave them maybe an extra foot, and that was it. So, boys, the next move is down over the cliff. So it's a tough road to travel, and you know all about it. But I was lucky enough to work on the pipeline for years. And I've been all over the state, and I surveyed the museum in the north, the big hotel in Denali Park. When you go down and look up at the top of the mountain, they called me down in there in December and said, Bill, we need a road to the top of the mountain. It's 500 feet in elevation difference, and you're the man to do it. And they gave me 2 mountain climbers as Sherpas. I took them up there with me, and I was leaning out over a cliff with a pole stuck in my butt to keep me from falling down the mountain, and I had to lean over and look the other side where the hotel was going to be. And the 2 Sherpas that was there with me, I pulled my field book out and looked across and started writing, and they said, how long have you been doing this? I said, how long have you been living, young man? Well, make a long story short, they couldn't run a chainsaw worth a damn, so I sent them back to the kitchen to work with the women. They were dropping trees everywhere, so I got over rattled, and another guy from 2 Rivers, and another one's 2 boys, and we went down, and after a mile of road, 6 switchbacks later, less than 8% grade for the tour buses to get to the top. We cleared all the trees off ourselves, did all the cutting, and the Sherpas never made it to Mount McKinley. They made it to the damn kitchen where they belong. So anyway, if you ever drive down, you look up at the mountain, you see that 1.5 miles of road and 6 switchbacks. I built it. Well, we did all the clearing for the construction of it, and that's it. But I don't want to take up too much of your time. But I figured since the last call, you give me a minute or so there. And that's it. And I've been praying to God, and I've read all the New Testament and part of it, half the Old Testament through the years when I felt if something was wrong, if I felt suicidal or whatever. I got a warm blanket, felt a feeling over around me, and God hugged me and kept me warm and kept me from doing stupid things, usually over a girlfriend or something dumb like that. And 4 times in my life, God helped me and saved me there. So anyhow, I'll get off and try to get the nurse to turn the volume back up so I can hear the rest of your show anyway. And that'll take me a minute or 2. But
are you in a hospital right now?
Yeah, right now I'm in FMH in room 257 right now. And so trying to get me out of here today, so I'll be home late this afternoon or this evening with some hospice care the hospital will send out. But I was down to 2 units of blood, and they had to put 8 bags of blood back in me again. And I was able to go to Anchorage last weekend to visit my son in the Alaska Military Youth Academy. Him and his buddies volunteered to go because I was getting in fights, and one of the guys come to my 17-year-old son's window and gave him a black eye, and him and his girlfriend jumped out and beat the heck out of him as much as they could. And he's supposed to come home at Christmas, but I won't be here, I'm sure. And he's 17. I got a 19-year-old son, 31-year-old stepson. All 3 were working at Safeway North Pole. I called them Safeway Boys, number 1, number 2, number 3. But my son's due home, 17-year-old. And I got grandchildren through my stepson and stuff. I wanted to live long enough to see my own stepchildren, but the Reverend's come in this morning again, and I'm ready to meet my Maker, and I'm going down fast. And it's just life. It's the way it is. I'm 72, and fell last week on my tailbone and the back of my head and my shoulder. It didn't do me no good. But anyway, I was so low in blood down in Anchorage, I couldn't even hardly walk, and what I needed most was blood. And they don't have enough blood to give me and all this crap. So I have to meet my Maker and die with honor, and know that I meant well. Even bad mouth in the borough, they need to keep in check, because when poor people, the borough guy told me once, I said I got a client wants to give his house 40 acres, he wants to subdivide it, but now they made rules. You got to pay $132,000 for a quarter-mile road out of pocket.
Yep.
Before you sell your 40 acres. So they're making it impossible for old people to keep their homestead. And I had a borough guy one time said, well, you got your land for free. Well, you didn't. You had to prove up on that 160 acres and earn it. And they said, well, what's the borough going to get out of it? I thought, well, who the hell is the borough anyway? Why should they have anything when this is your retirement and these old folks that were homesteaders here? And they're heartless down there. And that's bad now for the borough, but their planners get national awards, 3 of them were, just to destroy your life and what you've worked for and make it tougher even for the F-35 people coming in who would want some land over so they're just destroying the rights for you to sell your land. They want you to spend out of pocket to build roads for the borough. Well, the people can have homeowner associations and build their own road that they like to live on in there. If they want to drive over bumps to keep the dust down and people, from speeding through their neighborhoods, that should be their private business. But anyway, that's it in a nutshell. And I love you guys. Don't ever forget me. I'm sure most of you won't, because they're getting rid of another pain in the ass like Frank Turney. And poor Frank, he went down shoveling out for Clay Street Cemetery. And he had one spot. I think the last person buried there was old Irene Sherman. But Irene, I was surveying behind her house over there, and she'd come out on the manhole every day when it was quitting time. And Jim Thurman pulled up for $50 million in iron. Well, iron for Irene, she every day after work she'd come help pick she'd walk out on a plank on top of the manhole in the trench and help pick my equipment down for me, and I'd give her a beer every day. Well, poor Irene, here comes Thurman up giving him heck. And she told Thurman, so you leave him alone. He's a marked pigeon. Poor Irene was in love with me. And I took care of her every day and gave her a beer to make her happy. And she was the last one buried in Clay Street Cemetery that I know of.
Wow.
And poor Frank went down shoveling snow, probably at the Clay Street Cemetery, and he knew he has bad heart condition. So, there you go, my guys, and I love you, and don't ever forget me.
Well, Bill,
I'll hang up and let you have your show back.
Before you go, I appreciate you calling in, because I was saying the other day, I wish that we could have talked to Winston before he had passed away, and Frank, we missed him on the last show before he passed away, and we won't forget you. And I really thank you for all you've done for this borough over the years, not for the borough government,
for the people,
but for the
prevent you from the borough.
That's right.
Thieves.
And I'm sorry to hear about, we've known that you've been sick for quite a while, but I'm sorry to hear that you're down. But we won't forget you. I love you. I know there's a lot of people out there that do love you. And I'll tell you what, sir, it'll be a great day for you when you get to stand before your maker and he says, well done, good and faithful servant.
What was funny was I went to a borough meeting the last day of January, first day of February. I woke up with extreme stomach pain. It's been with me for 10 months now, almost 11 months. Every time I try to eat my liquid diet, I was staying over. It hurt so bad, but it's a coincidence. So I got that stomach pain that's killing me the day after I left the borough meeting about road construction and how they were trying to cheat each person. So that was a real coincidence right there, that basically they helped kill me just by their actions. So, but Joshua and Michael and Aaron, just thank you so much for making me a part of my life too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if I'm still alive, I'll certainly call in next week, but I don't think I have a week left to go, guys. I'm being realistic and trying to meet my maker in an honorable way, but it's tough knowing that you're going to die within 24 hours or 48 hours or whatever. It's that, and I got to be man enough to take it. And I've met my God, my Lord, and I pray, always pray, even though I think there's aliens that come down from heaven in golden chariots and are bred with earth women and blah, 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 and all this. And Wormwood could be coming. They got something they saw now coming in, going to hit our solar system in not too many years at a weirdo angle, and they don't know what it is. And the Bible talks about wormwood, and it very well could be. And she just said that it's all going to be over someday for all of us anyhow. And wormwood could be on its way. So life's not. God gave his only forgotten Son, that who believeth him shall not perish but have everlasting life. Amen. So thanks, guys, for everything you've done. And I hate to beg for coffee money, but any little thing will help to get me in the ground, right, and a headstone and stuff like that. Got 50 cents, send me something, you know. So thanks, guys. I'll get off, let you finish your show.
All right,
and
Bill.
Thanks for being real good men and good human beings to all of us. And I dread the day that they don't like what you hear either. And, you know, replace it with somebody like Cruz, you know what I mean? And it's just sad that things happen that way. God bless you guys too, and good luck to you all in the future. And I hope to be talking to you in the near future.
Thanks for calling, Bill.
Okay, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Whew. Well, if you guys don't know Bill, he's been a regular caller, and have you met him before, Mike?
I have not met him.
I don't think I have either, but I know him through the show for many, many years. I know he's done a lot of good work for people here. Like I said, when I mentioned thank you for the work you've done for the borough, I definitely wasn't talking about the borough government. I meant the people here. He's fought the borough exactly, you know, he's fought against them for different things with, you know, like subdivisions, subdividing land. I remember he was talking about a guy that wanted, I forget the acreage, you know, the particulars, but he had so much land he wanted to divide it for his kids. And the borough's like, nope. And then I think if he had to pay a whole bunch of money or whatever, either they told him no or he had to pay a bunch of money, and he would fight him, and he'd go out and tell them what a bunch of crooks they were. And he's right, you know. When I think taxation is theft and it's evil, one of the worst things that I think that the government does, besides telling you what you can do with your own property, which, you know, there's, again, semantics about, is it your own property because you're paying taxes on it, so you're just renting it? But he was, this guy, if I remember right, that Bill was telling us about, was specifically going to be passing away, and he was leaving it for his kids. And for a government to tell you what you can and can't do with your property after you pass, or death taxes and all these kind of things, that's up there with the most evil of all taxes in my mind. Because, you know, your children are your inheritance, and what you work for goes to them, not the state.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and that was one of the big deals early in the country's history, was that people wanted to be able to have property and pass it down.
Yep. It's a biblical thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I won't get into all the particulars because we got a bunch of color, but it's a biblical thing to pass down. It was evil to steal a man's, basically the child of the man's inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
An inheritance is an important thing. And any government, any person that tries to steal that is just flat evil. It's wrong. You know, and Bill told us about when the borough made it so, you know, with roads or road restrictions, where you had to hire certain people to build a road on your own place, and because they wanted to make it Davis-Bacon wages. Who the heck can afford that? You can't. You know how much it costs to pay a driver, drive a truck for Davis-Bacon wages? Just for the driver's wage, it's $60 an hour, right? So whoever's going to do that, they've got to get $160 just so, because they got their insurance, they got their driver. And I've done, well, I didn't do it myself, but our accountant has flat said it on Davis-Bacon jobs, it costs the company $110 an hour to have that employee.
Minimum.
Right. And that's the borough requiring that to build on your own stinking property. And it's not right. It's not right. It's cronyism. But I'm going to give Bill's number again. His home number, he said, was 488-9526. 907-488-9526. And his cell number, he said his wife has it, is 907-322-4011. 322-4011. He needs to raise $1,000. We got enough people listening. If everyone gave $1, we can raise $1,000. I know Bill's done way more than $1,000 worth of good for the people here, because I know that he's done a lot of surveying for free, just to help people out. So let's help him out. And also, he didn't say we could come see him, but room 257 there at the hospital. If you know him, you want to go visit him, sounds like now's the time to do it. And we'll give the phone number a couple more times throughout the deal here. We need to raise $1,000 for him, so let's do it. Also, I haven't checked on Frank's GoFundMe. Mike, you got your deal? Michael looked that up for us. And sometimes we need to figure out some petition to get Frank buried at that cemetery that he took care of. But let's get back to the phones. We're not forgetting you, Bill. Hope you're listening, but we're going to move on to calls here. Hello, caller, you're on next. Thanks for holding.
Hello.
Hello, Cecily. How are you today?
Oh, I'm a little bit sad to hear about Bill, but seems like everybody's dropping.
Well, we all are going to sometime.
Yeah. One absolute that's going to happen. But I was calling way earlier about, I read in the preamble to Economics 101 that anything that you make illegal will cost more. So the prohibitionists make a lot of money on anything prohibited.
Yeah.
And so that's just the preamble. It's not even the class for economics. They had a story about making plastic bags in Russia illegal, and when I visited Russia, the people were very excited about my plastic bags because they weren't allowed to have them, and so they were a high priority for people to get in Russia.
Well, they outlawed them in Anchorage.
Yeah, so now they'll be more expensive to get a hold of. And they're selling bags at Value Village. They're selling, if you buy stuff, you got to buy a paper bag they have there. But in a sense, it's just somebody making extra money on something that doesn't cost that much. It's just how they make more money. Government is by making things illegal.
Yep.
Anyway, but God bless you, Bill, and hope you find the good red road. And still getting posts from Frank Turney likes. Anyway, it makes me miss him more.
Yeah.
I hope everything goes just fine. God bless. Have a great day. Thanks for the show.
Thank you, Cecily. Another long-time caller. Let's keep going here. We're just about the top of the hour. Hello, caller. You are up next.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
This is Rattles. I worked with Bill for many years. Been one of my best friends. A long time. One time me and Billy we worked all over the place, everywhere. And the military bases were all toxic. So you had to watch if you had to do any digging or something like that, And one time we were down there, they made Greeley that missile defense system, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, we're down there surveying for the missile defense. We're out there on the frontage road there. And I look up and I'm looking at the flag there at the gate. And I didn't look right to me. I said to Bill, Bill, put your lens up there. Look at that flag up there. So he does. There was a printed piece of crap, probably made in China. Got the missile defense flying. Well, we came home that evening. Next day, I called Ted Stevens' office. Then we raised a little ruckus, and by golly, it took them a day or so, and they changed it out and put up a U.S.-made sewn flag. Billy, that took some balls. He called it up there. I stopped and seen him yesterday. I'll stop and see him some more. He lives pretty close to me here. I'm going to miss you.
Yep, I think we all will.
I spent a lot of hours with Bill working, surveying everywhere. And that was a real trip and a half down there at Denali when we built that place up on top of that mountain there. Bill and I was loaded up heavy with gear going up steep. I mean, like he said, we had these two Sherpas. There was an outcropping, a flat spot on this real steep mountainside. We stopped there and waited for him to catch up. They caught up to us there, and Bill's on. You put all your stuff down here. He said, back down to the hotel to the kitchen. These were two young guys that climbed Denali. And they couldn't stay after me and Bill. Oh, Billy and I could tell you stories that you couldn't imagine. Holy mackerel. Well, all right. I just wanted to wish Bill goodbye. Give you people a little knowledge of, Bill's background of work. He surveyed that Trans-Alaska pipeline. He's got all the paperwork on that laying around somewhere. Yesterday when I was in the hospital, there Bill was. He had paperwork laying up there, finishing up some paperwork on somebody's survey. Yeah. So he's a really dedicated man.
Well, maybe you can go up to heaven and do a little surveying up there.
Yeah, you can do a little surveying.
help make some gold roads.
Yeah, I guess the Lord needs a good surveyor, so he's calling him up.
Yep.
All right. And Frank Turney there, I was good friends with Frank for like years too. And I was in with Jerry Cleworth. Cleworth says to me, I think there's a spot left over there at Clay Street. He said they need to put a stone there and have on there 1-800-TELL-JURY.
Yeah.
I talked to Frank's brother this week, and they were planning, I guess, dumping his ashes up on Birch Hill side of his parents.
Oh, okay.
But I'd sooner see him in Clay Street Cemetery right aside of High Ranger.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. See, Bill, Frank there, he maintained that cemetery for a long time.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did.
For free.
There's things to ponder, isn't it?
You bet.
So you guys have a good day.
Well, thanks for calling in. I appreciate your calling in and giving us some stories. Always good time. I love stories. Mm-hmm. I love to tell them. I love to hear them.
And Frank's GoFundMe account, it's up to $1,600.
What were they trying to?
10,000 was the goal.
Okay. We'll take one more call and then probably be up. Come on. Hello, caller. You're up next. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, this is Ray.
Hello, Ray.
Ray Turney.
Oh, Ray Turney.
Yeah, we talked about having a plaque at Clay Street for Frank. It's been suggested. I believe his son, Nathan, may be in Fairbanks today or this weekend.
Okay.
And we've heard that he wants his ashes buried next to his grandparents.
Oh.
Excuse me, his parents.
Okay.
Up on Birch Hill. So that's as far as we know right now.
All right. Okay. Well, if you know his son's, I don't know his number or nothing, but if you do, you could have him call in if he wants to give us some more info on that.
Yeah, I had a number, but he lived way out of state, and it was a wrong number. So
yeah,
I'll find out. I know where his landlord is. He's a good friend where he passed away.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's where Nathan's going to be staying, taking care of Frank's things.
Okay.
And I haven't even heard anything yet. They're going to notify us. He was supposed to be in late last night, Nathan. So we're checking on it.
Now, do you live here?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm the behind-the-scenes guy for Frank.
You're the guy pulling the weight.
We got him started, and we all did, way down in Oregon years ago before we ever got here.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Anyway, well, thank you guys for all you do there.
Thank you. I appreciate you calling in and letting us know about that.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Right. Bye. Yeah, and if you do, if you can get his son, if Nathan's number, have him give us a call if he wants, and he can fill us in. Because, I mean, obviously, people have commented about having him buried out there at that cemetery, but probably want to do what the family and Frank wanted. Mm-hmm. So we can redirect our focus on that. Anyways, man, I guess anyways, that's all I gotta say for now. It's the end of the hour. We'll be back in the next hour. This is Patriots Lament.
K248DK 97.5 FM Fairbanks, the heartbeat of Alaska.
An American doctoral student heading home from Iran. I'm Jane Metzler, Fox News. Shi-Wei Wang freed in a prisoner swap.
Wang is a graduate student at Princeton University. He was in Iran studying Persian history when in August 2016, he was arrested. Iranian authorities charged him with espionage, sentenced him to 10 years in prison. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says those were false charges, and in a statement he says, quote, "We thank the Swiss government for facilitating the return of Mr. Wang and are pleased that Tehran has been constructive in this matter. We continue to call for the release of all U.S. citizens unjustly detained in Iran." In Zurich, the administration swapped Wang for Masoud Soleimani. He's an Iranian doctor arrested in Chicago for violating Iranian sanctions.
Fox's Rich Edson. Soleimani was expected to appear in court next week and would have been released in a plea agreement. They believed he acted alone. The FBI, though, still questioning others after yesterday's deadly mass shooting at the Naval Air Station in Pensacola. Ahmed Mohammed al-Shamrani, a Saudi military student who was training on that base, opened fire with a handgun, killing 3, wounding 8 others before he was fatally shot.
The Associated Press is reporting 10 Saudi students are being held at the base for questioning, and several others are still unaccounted for.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich in Pensacola says the AP is also reporting
the shooter held a dinner party the night before to watch videos of mass shootings, also saying one student was recording outside the building as that shooting happened.
An online manifesto featuring anti-American statements has been linked to al-Shamrani, but it has not been authenticated. And America is listening to Fox News.
Frontier Outfitters is a proud sponsor of Joe Nava's Shooter's Corner. Whether it's for personal protection, hunting, or skeet and target competition, if you shoot, Frontier has what you need. You're up for your next outdoor adventure with Alaskan-proven outdoor equipment, fishing, camping, and hiking, sleeping bags to coolers, hunting and fishing licenses, and tags as well. When you head outdoors, head to Frontier Outfitters for your Alaskan lifestyle. And listen each Thursday at 11 a.m. for Joe Nava's Shooter's Corner, right here on KFAR 660 AM.
Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. But more specifically, let it snow 2 or more inches on Christmas Eve, and Renewal by Andersen will give you free replacement windows. Here's how it works. Have your consultation and purchase windows by December 16th. And then, if it snows 2 or more inches on Christmas Eve, all the windows you purchased will be free. And we're taking the measurement at the UAF campus. But if we don't get snow, you'll still save $300 on every window and save $700 on every patio door with 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 1 year. Are your current windows drafty? Well, you could replace every window and patio door for free with Renewal by Andersen. Get your windows for free if it snows on Christmas Eve. And even if it doesn't snow, you can still save hundreds on windows and patio doors. You must have your appointment by December 16th. Call Renewal by Andersen, 885-3100. 885-3100. That's 885-3100. Visit icywindows.com for terms and details.
Affordable Used Cars is the only true one-stop shopping experience in Fairbanks. Affordable Used Cars has the largest inventory of pre-owned vehicles in the state. All makes and all models. That's right. Affordable has them all. Chevy, GMC, BMW, Kia, Ford, and more. The list goes on. No need to drive around all day or spend hours on the internet. Come by today for a test drive and be amazed at the selection and the affordable prices. Affordable Used Cars, located on South Cushman.
In many countries around the world, medical care is scarce. From birth defects to serious injuries and illnesses, countless millions have no access to safe surgery. Mercy Ships is there to help. With a team of volunteer professionals, nurses, surgeons, utilizing state-of-the-art hospital ships, Mercy Ships provides free surgeries for the thousands of those who are waiting for surgery at each port.
Mercy Ships is bringing services to countries that would otherwise never be able to access those services.
We just see people that need help. You realise that they have no way of getting help, and I want them to know that they're loved.
Help make a lasting impact and turn someone's fear into joy. Find out how you can help by visiting our website at mercyships.org for more information. That's mercyships.org.
All right, welcome back to Patriots Lament. I'm going to do something here. You're just going to have to hang out till I get it done. Have this in the background. Little background ambiance. Maybe. See how this works. Remember we did that last year. I had little Christmas music chilling in the back. Nah, I don't think that will work. Because it has words. Oh yeah, here we go. Got it. All right, now we can relax. Oh yeah. Welcome to Patriots Lament. For the next hour, we'll be chilling to classical Christmas music and talking about love, peace, and hope, and the good news. That sounds about right. Okay. All right, our phone number is 907-458-8255. My name is Joshua Bennett. In the studio, I have Mike Anderson and Rob Carr. Morning, guys.
Morning.
Got one more hour. It's flying by. Again, I want to give Bill's phone number. If you want to go see him, he's at the hospital at room 257 here at Fairbanks Memorial. Bill's phone number, write it down, because this is the last hour we got this week. Home number is 907-488-9526. His cell number, he said that his wife has that phone, 907-322-4011. 322-4011. They're trying to raise $1,000 to, I guess, get him a coffin. Which, that's kind of strange to think about. I mean, strange maybe isn't the word, but man, I just don't feel like talking about anything nasty, especially politicians, when I'm listening to nice Christmas music. But we must do our duty. Let's see. I had we were gonna go back on something. I can't remember what it was. Isn't that funny?
Maybe a driver's license. Is that what you were thinking?
Oh, that's right.
Oh, good man. Good man. Good man. So the what the heck is this thing? Oh, these little American Legacy books. I'll throw it up in here online. You see it there. They're pretty cool. It has the Constitution and other essential documents of American democracy, that's wrong. Because America is not supposed to be a democracy. But in this little book, it has the Mayflower Compact, Declaration of Independence, Constitution, amendments to the Constitution, the Northwest Ordinance. That's pretty neat. Writings by Hamilton, John Jay, James Madison, Washington's farewell address, Jefferson's first inaugural address, John Marshall on Mayberry versus Madison, which is an interesting thing. Andrew Jackson's Proclamation, Horace Mann, Sojourner's Truth, Lincoln, probably just rip all that part out. Susan B. Anthony, John Marshall Harlan, Theodore Roosevelt, rip that out. Woodrow Wilson, Peace Without Victory, rip that out. Roosevelt, Robert. Okay, so there's a bunch of crap in here too, but there's some good stuff in here. Oath of Allegiance for New Citizens, Pledge of Allegiance. But anyways, there's some good stuff in this little booklet, historically. And we'll jump to that 27 amendments, or wait, That's page 27. Let's hit the caller first, and then we'll jump onto this thing, what we were talking about. Hello, caller, you're up.
I'm up.
Yes, sir. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, chapter 10 of the Road to Serfdom.
Yes.
Pretty good book.
Yes, it is.
I think I didn't pick up much of it, but I had some comment on it. If we can get back on that subject.
Absolutely.
Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Well, first, before I do this, on a lighter note, silence, I kill you. You ever hear that? See that guy on YouTube?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, you know what the name of that guy is in that naval station that shot a bunch of those people?
I do not.
His first name is Ahmed.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That Saudi guy?
Yep.
Yeah, his first name is Ahmed.
Interesting.
You know what? I don't know if you've seen that cartoon, but it's highly inflammatory.
Yeah.
I bet you those Air Force guys were kidding him about it or being mean or something, calling him Ahmed the dead terrorist.
Right, because he's got a what it is, folks, if you don't know, it's a comedian, so-called, and he has a puppet, and it's a skeleton with the turban on and everything, and he calls him Ahmed the dead terrorist. Oh.
Yeah, he has these key lines he always says that makes everybody laugh.
I kill you.
I kill you.
Yep.
Silence. I kill you. Let's get back to the Road to Serfdom. See, that was written in a time period, 40s, I think 40s, 43, 42, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
About the same period as Dietrich Bonhoeffer, which that's a guy I'm familiar with. But he talks about I think the important, something was significant here in the all power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely, that he was quoting Lord Acton.
Yeah.
Read just a couple sentences. So he talked about these bad guys in Germany. This may prove the viciousness of the German character, but not the rise of such people. Is a necessary consequence of a totalitarian system. But the significant part of the next sentence: why should it not be possible for the same sort of system, if it be necessary, should be not possible that same sort of system, if it be necessary to achieve important ends, be run by decent people for the good of the community as a whole. You see where he was going with that?
Mm-hmm.
He's putting it's not the system that creates a good environment. It's the character of the people that create a good environment.
Right.
Can you see the significance of that?
Yep.
Or the bad of the environment.
Yeah, and it's something you guys could pick up on, because if you take, for instance, there's probably a few good guys in prisons, but generally there are people who've kind of failed. Mm-hmm. I think generally. Mm-hmm. I've been a little bit of time in with the prisons, so I know what's in there. But you can't take people like that and expect to produce something really good, because the character is a little deficient. Am I being fair?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what he's saying in this last sentence, which I think is significant, that he's seeing that it's the character of the people is somehow tied to a system. So no matter what kind of a system you have, if the character of people is bad, you're going to have a bad system. Right. But he's suggesting, I think this is what I see here, he's suggesting that if it's run by decent people for the good of the community, it's going to have a different end. Mm-hmm. What do you think of that?
I think it's true.
Yeah.
Many of the founding fathers spoke to that directly. That I don't remember, quote right offhand, but basically they said our system can only work with a good and just people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And basically saying, which is difficult anyways, because people are fallen, and so it's kind of hard. I think that's where.
And I think this might be the generation. I've seen some things in the prophets where, people that will seek my face. In other words, he's going to look look at my things, and see, kind of go by my way instead of just going by their own selfish ways. You're gonna have a different kind of a life than if you just, do nothing else. Who was our founding father? George Washington. He's a real wordy guy. Even his last letter to the when he left. Wow, could that guy write?
Yeah,
he's like, you go to sleep listening to all the stuff that he says, but you can see his mind. In his mind, he was pouring out what was in his mind, and he had a lot in there that was good, I thought. At least that's what I picked up on it. I don't remember all his words, but...
Well, he definitely did. I thought with what his thoughts were when he left. For one, he said, stay out of political parties. We don't need political systems in this republic that we have. We don't need political parties. And he said, the most important thing I think in his farewell address was keep out of foreign entanglements. Mind your own business. Don't make treaties with all these people and get involved in their wars.
Right.
He said, let Europe have their wars. We're far away. Let's stay out of it.
Right. But talking as a 70-year-old, I don't know how old Washington was when he wrote that. He was probably in the latter part of his years, wasn't he?
Yes.
Do you know how old he was when he wrote that? Roughly? No,
but I can find.
He was pretty old. But he's tying it back. I think run by decent people for the good of the community as a whole. I could see there's a lot of prayerfulness in his life because he was just showing it, and didn't talk so much about himself or what he wanted, or he didn't talk about his farm and his the stuff that he definitely had some achievements there. He could have really rang his own shot his own horn off really good. I think the guy had an excellent life. We think he's one of the best guys we've had in this country.
Well, even King George, when he heard that after the revolution, everyone assumed that George Washington would become king of America, and he turned his sword in and retired. And when King George heard about it, at least the rumor has, or the story goes that King George said, surely this is the greatest man who's ever lived.
Yeah. He didn't have a lust for power.
Right.
And that's what we see mostly, in this timeline. And this is where I see it's, a generational thing. I think in his generation, God must have blessed him. I think he prayed a lot. I think he just was blessed. And he had some people around him. He didn't have a bunch of saints around him either. It was kind of a nasty period of time.
Alexander Hamilton, for
one. But his efforts were rewarded, I see, in his time period. Of course, they started screwing it up, the next generation afterwards, and they've been screwing it up ever since, from what I'm seeing. So every generation's got their chance to make the best of it and see if they can come out of their generation alive. I don't know if that's too morbid, but I think surely if everyone, fear God and keep all his commandments, we wouldn't be harming each other at all. You just put the two together and you're just not going to be harming each other. But that's not the way people are going to be, so that's what you got. What we got is what we got. But this guy, what's his name? I'm talking about Lord Acton, but who wrote The Serfdom? I don't know much about this guy. Hayek. He was a German guy, wasn't he? No, he's Austrian. Yeah, this is where this Austrian stuff comes from. Okay. Yeah, but good book. I'm gonna make it a point to read the rest. I got a PDF on it. I'm gonna make a point to read the rest of it, see what's in there.
Yeah, I think you can get the PDF for free.
Oh yeah, I just pulled it up on my computer here.
It's a long read, but it is good.
Yeah, he's an easier read than Mein Kampf. Let's put it that way. Well, they got a new translation out in Mein Kampf, but the one I read the translation was pretty rough. But yeah, this is a good. I see that has some value here. Man's got a good mind.
Well, I was just looking here, and it looks like Washington was 57 when he was first elected, or he was elected by Congress to president, and he died at 67. So he died 2 years after his second term.
He got a full life.
Yeah,
I say it for him for his time period and all the stuff he did, and all he did combination of military and civilian stuff. He sure did good with his life.
Well, to live to 67 years old was pretty in the 1700s. That's pretty good.
Yep, good man. We need a lot more of. Now I'll sign off here and give you your show back.
All right. Well, thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
Bye.
Thomas Jefferson was 83.
Mm-hmm.
Man, he must have obeyed his parents.
Yeah.
Real quick.
He died on the same day as Adams, right?
John Adams.
Yeah.
An hour apart.
Good friend.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that amazing? And you know what day they died?
Was it July 4th?
July 4th.
Mm-hmm.
They died the same day. You know, they had a little angst betwixt them because politically when Adams was elected, the whole Treason Sedition Act, or the Alien and Sedition Act wasn't good. I don't understand what Adams, that just shows what power does to you. Because Adams was a good guy before that. And Jefferson was extremely angry with him and overturned all that when Jefferson was elected. And they went at it by, if they had Facebook, they would have been nailing each other constantly. Let's put it that way. And then later on, they made up and they wrote each other. And some of the greatest writings that we have of the founding generations from their letters back and forth with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe Adams died first. And when Jefferson heard about it, he died very shortly after, on the same day.
Mm-hmm.
And he was very, very sad. Yep. Bestest of friends.
Yeah. I mean, even Jefferson had issues during his presidency.
Well, sure. The whole thing about going over to...
It's the nature of the office. Yeah, the Tripoli and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The halls of Montezuma, the shores of Tripoli, which I think that set precedent to the... him doing that, I think, set precedent for the Spanish-American War.
Yeah. They had to pay tribute to pirates in the Mediterranean in order to do trade there. So they set up a naval. Yeah.
So we had
to the Marines. Actually,
we had government, naval, and marine forces helping private industry.
Right.
And that kind of set up, I think, the Spanish-American War to Spain, because trade. Well, people that were trading with China and stuff in Southeast Asia. Is that right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Spain owned it, so they collected taxes and did this and that, and pissed off the merchants that were American merchants. So they got the government to do a false flag thing, start the Spanish-American War, and basically, after 100,000 Filipinos were killed by us because we wanted to Christianize them, even though they were already Catholic. They opened up the pathway for the United States to basically own the Pacific, so there was free trade with China. And I think that Jefferson's at fault for that because he set the precedent by sending the military to help the merchants through Tripoli.
Yeah, and I have to wonder how much of that came from the their experience with the British tradition of mercantilism. The British fight with the Dutch over their high-speed schooners, and
absolutely it did.
So that was what he did was kind of a British tradition. That was the way of thinking.
Well,
so that's why we still operate under a magnified version of the British tradition of the 1700s.
He also the Louisiana Purchase He didn't have the authority to do that.
No, and he
even asked
realized
Madison
that.
about it, and Madison's like, it sure would be nice to own all that land. And afterwards, both of them said, yeah, we didn't have the right to do that.
Yeah, Jefferson knew it was wrong, and he kept getting hounded about it, and I think it was kind of like a peer pressure thing. It's like, okay, I'll go ahead and do it.
Right. Well, and he went to Madison because they were good friends. And Madison, of course, the father of the Constitution, all this and that. And Madison knew it was wrong, too. The president didn't have the power to do it, which is, my problem with the Constitution, because the government does what it wants when it wants to. A piece of paper doesn't stop them.
Right.
There's no stopping them. And afterwards, they both lamented that, what we did was wrong. And history looks at it. History will never condemn them for it.
No,
say, well, it was good because we got it for like pennies on the dollar, and then now the westward expansion and blah, blah, blah. They didn't need to do that.
Right.
Right. First of all, it should have never been owned by what does another government have the right to own that anyways?
Right.
And the westward expansion would have happened anyways by peaceful people just moving across the land. That's the way it should have happened. Natural progression to go across.
Without the slaughter of natives.
Right. Which, if, we watch cowboy and Indian movies and it's the cowboys shooting up the Indians and stuff, it was the government sending the government troops to slaughter the Indians.
Right. In fact, there was an anniversary this last week over one of the Indian massacres. Do you remember? Did you see that?
No, but I knew something was going on because the Cowboy Channel that I watch shows just all old, like 30s, 40s, 50 cowboy movies. This last week was all about Cochise and, it was an Audie Murphy movie about true story about a Indian agent, a good one, that came in and because the military was displacing the Apache, and he stopped it and set things right. And he actually is the one that got Geronimo to surrender. And he fought for the native rights, and also lobbied the president and Congress for them to have their own nation, have their own self-government instead of being under military rule. And it's interesting because it's really well done, even for at the time. And it says, he never saw it happen, but what he lobbied for eventually was granted in 1955, I believe. And this was the 1880s, 1890s or something like that. But he was one of the good ones. And of course, the Indians didn't, the Apache didn't trust him when he first came. And one of the first things he did was give them all guns. And the military freaked to like, what are you doing? These are savages. And he said, no, these are men. They need to support themselves. They're proud people. They need to have weapons so they can hunt. And they said, oh, they're just going to kill us. And according to the movie, but it was based on a true story. So, and I've looked into it a little bit. They did depict it correctly. One of the engines tried to shoot him right away because when they gave them the guns, at first they're just amazed and they were like, are these real? And they looked and they gave him bullets and everything. And one of them tried to shoot him right off the bat, and his own brother killed him. He said, no, you're not going to ruin this for us. And so then they became brothers, the Indian tradition of the brother.
Yeah.
So they were blood brothers. And then another one was my favorite man, Jimmy Stewart, and told the story about when the agent that made peace with Cochise. That was a really good one. But then, if you look at some movies like McClintock, with John Wayne, a lot of those old guys that were in those old movies or whatever that are always in these shoot 'em up cowboy movies, killing Indians, blah, blah, blah. They also all made movies that had like I said, with Audie Murphy and Jimmy Stewart about Indian agents, that government agents that were Indian agents that were trying to do the right thing by him. In McClintock, there's a pretty good dialogue in there where John Wayne's actually talking about, how the natives were screwed by the government, and he fought for them. I think they put like 9, in the movie there's like these 9 chiefs on trial or whatever, and John Wayne paid someone to defend them, or I don't remember exactly, but how did we get on that? I don't know. Well, how we get on that is that we're Patriots Lament and we roll.
We're talking. Yeah, we were
whatever
talking.
comes to mind.
We're talking about it was the government going west that slaughtered the Indians.
Not presidential powers.
Yeah,
Washington. Goodness, how we do. Okay, let's go back to the phones. 907-458-8255. Hello, caller. You're up next.
Hello, Josh.
Howdy.
Hey, what I like James Otis is the case of Writs of Assistance, 1761. He resigned. He was required by the king to defend that law, and that's why he quit service to the king. And also, 1764, he wrote The Rights of British Colonists Asserted and Proved. Reason I bring that up, I've been having trouble with just getting online and doing searches and stuff. It's slow for me, but in the Rights of Colonists, he referred to John Locke, or somehow he had an introduction or a final statement. Can't find the words exactly, but I brought John Locke up because one search I did find was a book called The Americanization of John Locke.
Oh, really? I haven't heard of that.
It was based on James Otis's. So I got some searching to do yet, and I was thinking of a poem when you were speaking of Psalms. Psalms? I have a poem by Longfellow. Be my grandfather's poet, probably. 1838. The Psalm of Life. And it starts out, tell me not in mournful numbers, life is but an empty dream. For the soul is dead that slumbers, and things are not what they seem. It's about a 200-word poem by Longfellow. Not feeling like going through reading the whole thing. Just remembrance of people passing, and we're not young forever.
Yep.
So I'm probably almost pre-statehood, born here in Fairbanks, and talking about and listening about people that I knew and know of that are good use for their time here. Get there are 80 years, man.
Yep, no kidding.
Thanks for the time, Josh.
Well, it's been a while since you called in with a poem, because you used to be Charles Poet.
Well, I keep reading it now, but that's the only way I make sense. I don't read headlines to the news. I just...
No one should do
that. How about Anne Bradstreet, man?
No one should.
Whoa. Talk about Barbara Stanwyck type, Hey.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to put...
I'm into hearing from the ladies. Thank you.
I found this... So it was in 1763, Otis, The Rights of the British Colonies Asserted, the pamphlet that he wrote, James Otis. And I'll put it up on our blog or our new website, and I'll put it up on the YouTube thing right now too. But it's really good. I've read it before, and I'm glad you brought it up.
And also Mercy Otis Warren, her comment on the Constitution. That was one of Winston's favorite, man. Winston had it right there. Mercy Otis Warren, which would be James Otis's sister.
Yeah.
It's considered one of the first, at least the first female historian of the revolution, but those last legend too. That it could be probably traced before then and before. Thanks a lot, Joshua.
Thank you, Charles. Good to hear from you, friend.
Hello, all my neighbors. Goodbye.
Right on. Bye. Yeah, Mercy Otis Warren. She was good. I'll write me a little note and I'll bring some of that stuff up next week. But they had brains. That was part of the thing that helped. So a couple calls ago, the guy was telling us about Ahmed, the dead terrorist, and so I'm just going to put a little clip about that and just so you can understand what he was talking about and see if this might definitely doesn't calm things.
Good evening, Ahmed. Good evening, infidel. So you're a kind of terrorist. A terrifying.
Again, so this is a comedian, and he has a dummy, a hand puppet, and the hand puppet is a skeleton, except the eyes move and the mouth, of course, and he has a turban, and he's making fun of Muslims.
Terrorist. Terrorist. Are you scared? Not really, no. And no? Not really, no. How about now? No? God damn it. Oh. I mean, Allah, damn it. Silence! I kill you!
Alright, that's enough of that. Anyways, that's what he was referring to, and that's what the big funny thing supposedly is supposed to be all about. When he constantly says, I kill you, I kill you. It's just, that was shortly after 9/11, and that was supposed to, I guess, make things better or something. I don't know. It's always good to dehumanize people that you're going to war with, so it's easier to kill them, which is interesting. I started following a dude, a Palestinian actually, on Instagram. Who is he? Following. Just give me a second here. I'm finding it so I can remember. I don't remember what his deal is called, but it's pretty good. Well, I think it's pretty good. He's Palestinian. Oh, help free Gaza. That's his hashtag, or his name, or at, whatever it is. And he just puts up posts about what's going on in Gaza, between Gaza and Israel, and the Palestinians. It's a good follow. It's pretty horrible. It's amazingly horrible what's going on there. I mean, you want to talk about the Cowboys and Indians or whatever. That's what's happening to the Palestinians, plain and simply genocide.
Yeah, and I mean, it goes back for hundreds of years, the conflicts. It's like, you hear about the Muslims, they're so uncivilized and all that. And so it actually is a holy war. It seems like, especially when certain Christians against Muslims. But if you go back 1500s, the marriage of Isabella and the King of Spain for their their alliance with Portugal. Discovery of Freedom Lane,
Oh, yeah.
Wilder Lane.
Yep.
Yeah, she points out in her book how
Rose Wilder Lane.
She points out in her book how when that occurred, that alliance, after that marriage, Spain went and killed 2 million Muslims in Portugal. And it's another example of social engineering, just along the lines of Michael Bloomberg. So, how far back does this go? The Christians killing the Muslims get upset, kill some Christians, then throw some Jews in there, and it's all nonsense. Who's going to end it? One of the unique things about about Christianity is that Christ himself was the one who preached about ending it. The others didn't really. But the Christians of today don't seem to care about following Christ's message of being the one who ends it.
Yeah, and I just posted that up on our YouTube channel there, Rose Wilder Lane. It's on the Mises Institute. Get a free PDF of it. An excellent read. Excellent. Yeah, that's the whole thing, would be the change you want to see or be and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
It's just, especially around Christmas time, we kind of focus on it a little bit more. The good news, we're not supposed to be warmongers, killing people.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be the peace. Blessed are the peacemakers, not the warmongers. I mean, I'm pretty sure I read that right.
Right.
And I've looked several times and it hasn't changed. I mean, it might be in some people's Bibles, like that stupid church down the road that has the flag surrounding it and had the nuke them till it glows and all that kind of. Yeah, way to go, church. Way to go. Way to go.
I do have to give that church some credit, though. They had a good sign out this last week. It was, what was the first message? It was something about it was a religious statement, and then was it praise Christ or something, and then it was and Epstein didn't kill himself.
They put Epstein didn't kill himself?
Yeah.
Nice. Did you know that? Epstein didn't kill himself.
So they had something good up there. But anyway, yeah, blessed are the peacemakers. And is that because God is going to bless them? Or is it because the blessing comes with the act itself?
Well, both. Yeah, of course. Peace. I mean, like the Ron Paul Institute, what's Ron Paul always talked about? Mm-hmm. Peace and prosperity. And when we had Ron Paul on as a guest, one of the times, he's been on a few times, mm-hmm. I asked him, I said, why do you talk about peace and prosperity? He said, they go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Peace and prosperity go together.
Right.
When you're a peaceful people, prosperity follows.
People want to trade with you. People want to deal with you.
That was Washington's whole thing in his farewell address. War with none, trade with all.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ruin it.
Yeah, the whole thing, blessed are the peacemakers, is not necessarily a verb as in bless them. It's an
action.
It's a description.
Descriptive.
It's an adjective.
Yeah.
It describes what comes out of it.
Yeah.
Not what's going to happen to them.
I like that point, Mike. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good point while we're listening to this, too. All right, let's hit the phones again, though, because we got a bunch. And we're just, dang it. I don't know how we run out of time. Hello, caller, you're up next.
Hey, brothers, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, you're welcome. Gonna miss Frank, gonna miss Bill.
Yes, sir.
But thread for the day, man, I've been reading Bastiat Law again.
Oh, yeah.
And he poses a simple question in there. He said, it's a simple choice. It's total plunder, universal plunder. Do you want partial plunder or no plunder at all?
I vote for
and
no.
And I think that's just the choice for every human being, and then what kind of human being they're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe it's right to plunder others or be plundered yourself? I mean, I think good people would say no to that. And it just goes along with voluntarism and peace and trade and everything y'all are talking about. But it's that simple. That's the question. That's the choice.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of people in the world who proclaim that they want trade, but they don't really want trade. What they really want is plunder, because that's for them the easy way to attain riches.
True, and I think they should be held accountable to that. I mean, at least morally, peacefully as you can, Hey, so you agree with plunder, so you believe it's okay to take from others.
Well,
have them say yes. Have them own up to it.
Mm-hmm.
They'll all be held accountable eventually. But yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with holding people's feet to the fire on that too, because it's true. And maybe they don't even know it. But sometimes some people give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they don't even know it. So by pointing it out and making them realize it, maybe they'll change their ways. That's the whole thing about, with the word repent, it means to change your way, turn the other way, and walk away from it. Walking it in the exact opposite way that you were walking.
I think that's something about the word of grace too. We all come short. We're all going to come up short. We're all fallible. The thing about grace is, you can make mistakes, and it gives you time, it gives you period, it gives you the ability to change your mind.
Yep.
Change your actions. That's grace. That's the beautiful thing about it. I mean, hey man, I was pretty socialistic at some point in my life, and I'm still really, really a community type person, a humanitarian type person. I believe in, trying to do good for others, not just people I know, but people I don't know, and the next generation. But I was messed up. I had indoctrination and stuff like that. So that was shows like yours and books like Rose Wilder Lane's and Bastiat, come out of that and just identified what the is actually is, and then integrated that into my brain and try to implement that into my actions. And it's really kind of simple.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it feels good.
Well, and it's not a well, I finally got there, I made it kind of thing either. It's it's a daily process. We should always be progressing forward in that way. That's why I always say that our types, we're the real progressives, because we want real progress. We want to keep progress. What progressivism that we see on the news or read about or whatever, that's regression. That's not real progress.
Right, and you can see it, all that kind of flows together with those type of people too, think they have it all figured out too, want to be God over everybody else. And the truth of the matter is, once you think you got it all figured out, once you think you know, you're done learning, because you don't know. You don't even know what you don't know.
Yeah.
It's the people that actually do take subjects deeper and get more into it who realize, man, I have a lot to learn. A lot to learn. Yeah. That's the truth of it.
Mm-hmm. You bet. Yeah. Right on. Well, thanks for calling in, man. It's good to hear from you.
Yep. Love you all.
Good points. Love you too, brother.
Talk to you later.
Let's run out of time, so we'll try to blast through the phone calls. So, caller, you're up next.
Hi, this is Randy.
Hi, Randy.
Yeah, on that church off the Steve's Expressway, one interesting sign some years ago, as I recall, it said, worship is a gift from God, assembly required. And I thought that was kind of catchy. And I know a person can go and worship God off by themselves, but it always kind of made me think, well, it is good to gather together and to do it that way too, on Sunday or something. That's why I go to church, sometimes. And I want to say that I do appreciate Bill Blizzard and his call.
Yeah.
I appreciate him throughout the years with some of his descriptions about the gas line and the surveying and things going on that went up on the pipeline. I worked on the pipeline myself and worked up on the slope, and it was good hearing those things. And Bill strikes me as a guy that's always wanted to help other people. And even in this last call, he did that. He showed a lot of consideration, a lot of dignity, and
Absolutely.
good guy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, Randy. Appreciate that. And again, Bill, he's in his last days, it sounds like. Longtime person here, resident here at Fairbanks, done a lot of good for a lot of people. He's in Fairbanks Memorial, room 257. And his home number is 488-9526. 907-488-9526. And his cell phone, he said his wife has it, 907-322-4011. You can give him a call, or again, 907-322-4011. You can give her a call. He's trying to raise $1,000 for their memorial. And we should just call and say you heard him on the radio and you want to help out. Like I said, I know for a fact we have well more than 1,000 people listening, so that's like $1. Is my math right there? $1 a piece. Yeah. So let's get her done while he's alive, so we can show appreciation to him. All right, we got one more caller here, and let's hit it. Hello, caller, you're up next.
Hello, you hear me?
Yes, sir.
It's Bill again, one more time.
Bill, all righty.
Good news, I got another phone number here for donations.
Okay.
Reverend Bob at 907-460-0249. And I have an email at pleasantvalleycommunity@gmail.com. Email pleasantvalleycommunity@gmail.com.
All spelled out?
Yes. pleasantvalleycommunity@gmail.com. And they can take donations and cards and stuff. And the Reverend Bob Sugden is 460-0249, and he can get the money to the powers to be. So I had to call him one more time. I love you.
What was it again? 460-0249?
Correct. That's Bob Sugden, Sugden.
Okay.
And he will take care of the donations and stuff. And email at pleasantvalleycommunity@gmail.com. Can do it online stuff with a credit card and stuff.
All right. Well, I'll post that up on the
Thank
website.
you. I'm glad I got back to you again. I love you. Goodbye.
Thank you, Bill.
Bye.
All right. So it looks like we got Reverend Bob. I didn't catch the last name, but that's all right. We usually call Reverends just by the first name. It works, especially if their name's Bob. His number is 907-460-0249. And Bill's cell number is 907-322-4011, 322-4011. And it sounded like, no, I don't know how it would work, but they probably have Pleasant Valley Community. He said it was all spelled out at gmail.com. I'll throw that up here on the Pleasant Valley. So I threw that up on the YouTube channel. If you want to, sounds like you can just donate straightly there. So let's do it. And I want to get it done before Bill passes away. Bill, we're not writing you off either. So, darn it, if you're still kicking around next week, you need to call back in, because you don't go until he decides. But that's a good thing there. You know, I've always wanted this. The point of this radio show is always to do something good. For one, tell the truth, get the truth out to people. Have a community with phone callers, let people know you're not alone out there. People, you know, obviously after 9 years, people listening to each other. A lot of people not, like, I haven't met most of the people that call in. but I know who they are. I know a little bit about them. And a lot of people get to know each other just through their phone calls on this show, which I think is pretty cool. Have our own little community like that. And it's not just here in Fairbanks. We got people in Brazil that listen in Germany and England, and several people back east and down in the States. And no, it's not all family. Anyways, you guys got any closing words here? Because we're down at the last minute. I don't know how these things, hours go by quick on this show. Gee. Rob, thanks for coming in, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it has.
I think probably 4 or 5 years since the last time you were on the...
Oh, yeah.
We were over at the other station, even, wasn't it? Yeah. Right on. You bet. You come in a little more?
Yeah, I'm down. Whenever I'm in town.
Right on. But we're here every Saturday, 9 to noon on 660 KFAR. Remember to check us out on our new website is patriotslament.com. The blog is still up, but we don't post there anymore. And recently I didn't post it on the blog or on the website. patriotslament.com. And you can email me at joshua@patriotslament.com and David at patriotscement.com. And did David get you set up?
Yeah, Mike. I think it's Michael at patriotslament.com. I have to check it again.
You don't even know your own web. Good. All right, folks. Love you all. Love you, Bill.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. We'll see you next week.
Welcome, everybody, to the health show that knows Health Talk Radio, brought to you by the Alaska Center for Natural Medicine, only on KFAR 660 AM, broadcasting to Fairbanks and beyond. So sit back, relax, and prevent a heart attack. Here's your host, Dr. Scott Looper, your guide to better health.